Good morning and welcome to Wednesday morning Bible reading. This year during the season of Advent, we are going to be reading the book of Ruth, which is a Bethlehem story that leads to the Bethlehem story. On the surface, the book of Ruth can be very heartwarming and very touching. I could even see it being made into a Hallmark movie. But you and I, as believers, know that there is a much deeper, more meaningful reason why God included the book of Ruth in the Old Testament record. Ruth is about the providence of God. God uses all events, big, small, little, bad, good, whatever. God uses all events to serve his purpose and for the benefit of his people. And we're going to see that in the book of Ruth. Now, the book of Ruth itself was written probably by Samson. Most Bible scholars believe it was Samson, and probably wrote it during the early years of the Davidic dynasty in Jerusalem. The events themselves, we're told, took place during the time of the judges, and most scholars believe that it probably, based on the genealogy at the end of the book, probably took place during the time of Samson's judgeship. Now, the cast of characters and the nutshell, real quick like. The book starts out with a man by the name of Elimelech, who was from Bethlehem, and he was married to Naomi. They had two boys, Mahlon and Chilion. Because of a famine, Elimelech decided to take his family to a foreign country. They crossed the Jordan and they went to Moab, which is east of the Promised Land. Elimelech then dies. Mahlon and Chilion marry local women, one named Orpah, one named Ruth, and they lived there for about 10 years. And then they died. And that leaves Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth. Naomi hears that the famine in Bethlehem is over with, and so she decides to go back to Bethlehem. On the way, she encourages her two daughter-in-laws to go back to their families and their culture and their gods. Orpah decides to do that. But Ruth is going to make, in chapter 1, we're going to read about this, she's going to make that iconic vow that she's going to stick with Naomi through thick and thin. And so the two of them will go back to Bethlehem, and then a new character comes into our story, a guy by the name of Boaz. Boaz takes a liking to Ruth. He eventually marries her. They have a child, and the local women call this child Obed. And we read that Obed becomes the father of Jesse, and then Jesse, as we know, becomes the father of David. Now, there's many thoughts from chapter 1 that I could share with you this morning, but there's one that I'm going to, just for simplicity's sake, we're going to think about one. And this is something that you're probably going to have to think about more than once in your life. It's a question that Ruth and Orpah had to consider. The question is, what will determine your life's path? Will it be fame? Will it be fortune? Will it be family? Or will it be something else? Like trust in God, trust in Almighty God, a God that controls everything, and then that can make good things come out of bad things. I pray that when you have to make that choice, and we all do, more than once, and many times, sometimes more than once in a day, when you have to answer that question, what will determine the path of your life? I pray that you will choose trust in your Almighty God who loves you and will work all things for your benefit and your good. Let's read Ruth chapter 1. During the days of the judges, a famine occurred in the land. So a man left Bethlehem in Judah to stay a while in the territory of Moab. He, his wife, and his two sons. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi, and the names of his two sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were from the clan of Ephrath, from Bethlehem in Judah. They entered the territory of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, so she was left with her two sons. They then married Moabite wives. The name of the first was Orpah, and the name of the second was Ruth. They lived there for about 10 years. But Naomi's sons, Mahlon and Chilion, also died. So the woman was left without her two children and without her husband. Then Naomi set out with her daughters-in-law to return from the territory of Moab, because while she was in the territory of Moab, she had heard that the Lord had graciously visited his people by providing them with food. So she left the place where she had been, and her 2 daughters-in-law left with her. They set out on the road to return to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, both of you return to your mother's house. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to the dead and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you find security in the house of a husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept loudly. But they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." Then Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Am I going to give birth to any more sons who could become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to be married to another husband. Suppose I say I have hope, and I will be married to another husband tonight, and I will even give birth to a sons. Would you wait for them until they grow up? On the basis of that hope, would you give up the chance to marry another husband? No, my daughters, it is much more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has reached out against me." They once again wept loudly. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth would not let her go. Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and to her gods. Go back, follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to abandon you or to turn back from following you, because wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you make your home, I will make my home. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely and double it if anything but death separates me from you." When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Then the two of them traveled until they arrived at Bethlehem. When they entered Bethlehem, the whole town became excited over them. The women said, "Is this Naomi?" But she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made me very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord brought me back empty. Why should you call me Naomi? For the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has treated me badly." So Naomi returned with Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, who came back with her from the territory of Moab. When they entered Bethlehem, it was the beginning of the barley harvest. Here ends our reading of chapter 1. Please join me now in singing verse 1 of hymn 65, "O Little Town of Bethlehem."